bled on Friday after Obama came out with the bank tax, which was in part, you can't blame it all on that. When you looked on Sunday at all the Asian, American, and U.S. markets, I could only find on my show 5 markets in the green around the world on Sunday morning for the open.
Yeah.
Okay, when you see bad policies, and I use this, the truth about good policy, especially in economics, it has to be good for the nation and for all groups. And I'm paraphrasing Henry Hazlitt on this, but the bottom line is the policy has to be good for all groups, not for one group. This administration supports only a far-left agenda.
David, I don't know that you want to use the stock market as a good measure, given that under the Republican rule, the stock market was in free fall,
well,
and 2009 was the best year for the stock market. I don't know, ever? Certainly in
if you came up with that when you're
percentage of gain,
that's
but
right.
certainly not where we went.
But that's the point.
If you go far down, your percentage of gain will be higher.
You know, the other thing that people don't take into account, Mark, and because we watch it here, because we're sharing home with Fox Business Network, is trading has not been at the levels it was even a year ago.
Of course not.
Volume is way down.
George Bush had 8 years to destroy the economy. He took an $8 trillion surplus.
I want to get some emails in here. Rich in Louisiana. All the polls I read from Massachusetts said the 2 major issues that voters were concerned with were health care and national defense. The poll was referring to he was referring to must have been designed to judge candidate quality while ignoring issues. It is easy to design questions to elicit desired results. I think he's reaching back to something we were talking about before. But the first part that he's saying, health care and national defense, kind of speaks to the issue. Governor Deval Patrick, should he be worried?
He absolutely should be worried.
Why?
Because, one, he was the beneficiary, if you want to call it, of failed Romney Care, which has led to things like recent lawsuits filed by 8 hospitals against the state for being reimbursed at a rate of 63 cents on the dollar. They're looking at losing community groups in that system. The cost in health care has gone up enormously in Massachusetts. It's about a 49-day wait for an appointment versus 11 days around the rest of the country in a broad sense. And he has done absolutely nothing when it comes to good economic policy. And in those blue-collar pockets in Massachusetts, I spent enough years up there, it hasn't changed much. Those blue-collar pockets are fiercely independent. Worcester County, Fitchburg, and the western part of the state.
Here, Scott Brown, and got a lot of people from Massachusetts writing in today.
Well, they should.
Scott Brown apparently said that this is a win for independents, and he identifies himself as an independent.
I think
that's very interesting.
It will be interesting to see if he works with the president more than the Republicans want him to. What's interesting is the polls overwhelmingly show Massachusetts voters want, get this, Scott Brown to work with the Democrats and work with President Obama on a variety of issues.
Well, if you took that...
Maybe they feel that strongly about it, Mark, because they are in a state that tried a more universal health care, and it didn't work.
I think independents want the parties to work together. I think independents
want
exactly. I don't think they like this Republican strategy of no.
On this one thing.
But why do they?
Approval rating for Congress
right.
is a mirror.
It's abysmal.
It's not wrong.
It's
right.
abysmal.
Democrats are low and Republicans are even lower.
Actually,
they're all low.
Harris here's the thing.
Anything done. They
Harris,
can't
because of the filibuster rule, and Republicans.
Well, if I could get a word in edgewise.
5 years ago, the Republicans.
I know the Republicans.
They supported a nuclear option. They supported getting rid of the filibuster. That was the biggest Republican talking point for 8 years. I want to know, David, do you agree we should
can we pop up that picture
get rid of the
Scott
filibuster
Brown real quickly? Because I've gotten. Hold on one second. I've gotten so many emails about this picture of Scott Brown.
Okay. One important.
Hold on one second.
People who've actually seen it, I guess.
But a lot of us have seen it, and everybody's kind of saying what I said. They have blurred it to where he looks nude. See, I thought the same thing too.
I thought he was nude.
It's a nude picture that they took.
But they don't show his private parts.
Print the nude picture.
Okay, I don't know.
They printed something in the fold, which is why they call it, I guess, a centerfold. Now, I don't know what happens if you rip it out, because I don't go
Maybe it opens. I don't know.
Magazine stands going, can I rip out that free magazine? Because I'm probably not going to purchase it. But and it wasn't just out last weekend, so it'd be a little hard to do that. But anyway, we have a picture of it. People have, I don't even want to say come to his defense, because these are people who don't live in Massachusetts. Their concern is Cosmo does not print nudity.
Exactly.
That may be true.
The story, Cosmo never shows nude pics of men. He could have been in shorts, and they blurred it to where he looks nude. Now,
it's a suggestive picture, and that's what it is.
Brian and Cynthia are absolutely right about that. It's The point is to get us talking about it, and why wouldn't magazines do everything they can to do that? Because they've been having some problems even before the recession because of the internet.
Yeah,
this is an old picture. This is like from '82 or something.
I mean, but magazines have been doing stuff that makes you go for a long time.
Well, their job is to sell magazines and to get advertisers to buy into their magazines. So that's what they do, no matter what it is.
People are. You got it. Okay. People are just so much more concerned
about that than they are the economy and healthcare.
Well,
with a loss,
about the economy and healthcare.
I would hope so, because that's what matters.
Kevin. There it is. Now
we don't know what's in that.
We don't know what's in that.
That's a Cosmo. That's a typical Cosmo picture.
No, but the oval was created by Fox, or not by Fox necessarily, but by some news entity, so they could put this on the news. I'm sure that oval wasn't in the original.
Okay.
I've seen this all over the place, and this is
I have too.
Harris,
but they can't show you.
I did a relationship talk show for years. We use Cosmo as a source. They don't run nude pictures.
No, but I mean,
they run suggestive pictures,
just like this with the thing on it.
And they've run many pictures like this.
So it makes you think.
Right. They do this.
I assumed it was
can I make one larger point? This is what happens after elections by parties. The party that loses tends to do what are called cover polls. A cover poll is to ask the question that you mentioned: do they want the candidate to go to Washington and work with the opposing party? Every party does that. It's called a cover because it gives you something to say. See, they're not just voting for Brown; they want you to work with the president.
Right. Let me get.
Do you think the Republican strategy of
no
is a good one?
Dennis
That's what I want to know
from Lynchburg, Virginia. Harris, I cannot believe I'm hearing this. The voters in Massachusetts voted for Scott Brown because Coakley did not know who Kurt Schilling is. Come on, Levine. That is what is wrong with this administration. They believe the voter is not informed. Blessings from Dennis. The economic downturn in the downturn in the economy came at the time when the Democrats controlled Congress. Not only that Barney Frank at all pushed the bad lending practices that sank Fannie and Freddie Tom in Colorado. I'm just going to get through some of these so we can get these voices in.
I should defend my ex-boss.
Why can't we have what Congress has in regards to health care? The Republicans do not care about the poor. I work every day and I have health care. Mr. Webb and teabaggers do not care about the working poor. They care about their self-interest. Thank you. Have a great day. Kimberly Frazier. I'm just kind of going down the list here. Talking points. An hour of talking points from the left is not helpful. Ken in Cape Corporal, Florida. Good for them. The Republicans want to shut the government down. Excellent. What's the downside for Americans? That's Terry Malpass. Thank you, Terry.
I like roads and parks. I like the post office, but, call me crazy.
The Democrats only focused on two things, the stimulus bill and health care. If they put their attention on something else, would the Republicans have used the filibuster? I applaud the Republicans for blocking this health care debacle. It is the Democrats who are the real party of no. Do they listen? No. Do they focus on real problems? No. Rich in Thibodaux, Louisiana, by the way, congratulations on your Saints, my friend. By the way, I have to say this. I don't know if you all watched the game last night. My husband and I were glued.
I'm a huge Saints fan.
And we're able to stay up a little later now because we've been in a different time zone. So it's like still, only 7:30 to me right now for a few days, and then I'll begin to look like I'm falling over once I get back to New York time here. But anyway, we're watching the game last night. It is late in the fourth quarter. It's still tied 28-28. And I said, Brett Favre looks like the Green Bay Brett Favre. He's throwing interceptions. I was so sad about that. I really was. And because I used to live in Vikings territory, I thought it was so exciting to have him join the purple team. But he didn't do it in the end. His team didn't do it in the end. And I thought, but the Saints aren't taking advantage of it. Where are they? And my husband said from the kitchen, they're waiting to march in.
There you go.
So in overtime, the Saints came marching in.
They like come from behind victories. It's kind of their
David,
thing.
I have delayed you. Please make your point.
Which one? I mean, if I hear Republican one more time over policy from Mark,
point here. And the conservatives are not necessarily Republicans. I know you identify yourself as a Democrat. David does not necessarily identify himself as a Republican.
I'm a policy guy, and if you listen to the conversation between the two of us since it started, I haven't tried to just lay out a blame game and try to find points. And you can tell, Mark, you've worked on the Hill. You and I have had enough conversation, so I can say, and it's a friendly way, you know how to pick the points out of an argument. The problem is that when you look at the totality of policies, whether it's Republican or Democrat, and its effect on the nation, and whether it does or does not do what it's supposed to do, that is the problem. If the Democrats, for instance, let's use health care. If health care was such a really good plan with things like possibly portability, reducing waste and fraud.
It's all there.
Tort reform, no, it's not. Tort reform is not in the bill. Portability, either across state line or from job to job, is not in the bill. Malpractice tort reform is not in the bill. I've read it. And it's not in the bill.
Malpractice tort reform is 1% of healthcare.
Let me finish my point. If this was all so good, they would not have needed to buy off votes. And we talk about the Louisiana Purchase and the Cornhusker kickback. But there have been many other deals made that if the plan was so good, they wouldn't need to exempt their states from this. If the plan was that good, it would be good for all 50 states and equally applied.